Hi to Eric Decellieres in France. I take it you're in France right now, Eric?
Yes.
From the Gordon Bennett France 2 team.
Correct.
How many teams do you have in the Gordon Bennett in France?
Since 2013, there are 3 French teams. Before there were only 2, and before 2010 there was only 1 French team. So now it's been 7 years in a row that there are 3 teams, and we are very happy with that.
And who is your partner? It's
this year will be Benoit Havre, the same as in Montbéliard in 2019.
Montbéliard 2019. What an event that was! Beautiful place.
Yes, that was a very nice event. Not so good for us because we had to stop due to Munich traffic control. Yes. But the strategy of the race, the French command center was perfect. Our strategy was right. And we were expecting to fly 85 hours as the top 7 teams. Unfortunately, that's a race fact we had to learn, as well as the Polish team. The current world champion was in the same case as us. Because we choose the strategy to wait about 24 hours flying with 1 knot, 2 knots over Switzerland and France. And then we started to Eastern Europe on the first position, as well as the Polish team. That was one strategy because most of the others went through France and waited and then to the same direction, but a few hours later, like something like 5-6 hours delay.
It's a fascinating event. It really is. There's so much strategy in there. For anybody who's watching who's not familiar with it, it's the gas balloon race. It's the oldest FAI air sport. It's a long distance event. It's about going as far as possible. But you have to decide on your strategy because there's different winds at different altitudes. Tell me a little bit about that, Eric.
In fact, if the race is the same since 1906, let's say going the furthest point, the strategy is now 100% part of the race because you've got a lot of people in your team, a lot of brains looking at meteorology, trajectories and so on. 100 years ago or even 50 years ago, that was not that. They were flying like pure heroes and going somewhere in the rain, in the snow and so on. Today, our command center, and I guess it's the same for all teams, German ones, US one, Spanish one or others, they are all thinking a lot, a few days and a few hours in advance to look at the different strategy to avoid bad meteorology, or to get the quickest race or the slowest race to get to the furthest point. So this is a very interesting human point of the race, is that you need to have your person in a command center that look at the trajectory and the strategy and to have 100% full confidence in the pilots, as well as the pilots have to have 100% full confidence in these guys. So these 2 persons need to discuss a lot, think a lot, looking at the good things, the bad things, and the possibilities. And that's what's interesting, is that even if everybody is looking at that, every year since about 10 years, most of the teams, I would say 70 or 80% of the team are taking the same strategy, on the same trajectories. And that's interesting.
Yes. Last year, I think there was 2 or 3 choices. The year before, 2 or 3 choices. Some people chose to stay around the area waiting for what they knew in a couple of days, like you did. You knew there was going to be this slight eastern push if you just waited around before you left.
But what was interesting is that it has been a long time that there was not 2 or 3 possible strategies. Usually there is one or maybe a second one. And you need to choose before the start. You can't change during the flight, or otherwise it's too late. But I think when the Polish team won the gold medal in 2018, it clearly shows that that kind of waiting strategy could be a good one. And then he won the race. And then I was not surprised that in 2019, we were a few pilots waiting to get this possible strategy. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but whatever, it's very interesting. And on top of that, you make nice flights all the time.
Well, we should have been in Poland in the autumn just gone in 2020, and obviously that was cancelled because of COVID-19. But the strategies did come out. We looked at the meteorology for what would have happened, what it would have been like. Tell me a bit about what you would have expected. It looks like a lot of north.
Yeah, yes. I think it would have been probably a very tough race because the the direction to the north would be the furthest point, but you need to fly over the Baltic Sea or the northern countries, and then going to the North Cape. But there might have been strategy going just a bit west part of Kaliningrad, and Poland is very close to all these eastern countries that are forbidden. So that would have been a very tactical race and probably tough race, because going to the north, it's much colder. You can have a lot of snow, like it happened in, I think it's 2006. They flew to the north and there was a lot of snow. So who knows? And this year, I hope the race will be held, and we might go to Greece or Italy or I don't know, or Germany. We will see. But flying close to the eastern countries that are forbidden might be a bit difficult. I don't know. We will see.
Well, we're back on hopefully for August this year for 2021. What kind of preparations are you involved in right now? Have you got things happening right now towards it, or does it not start yet for you?
So we have started the preparation like every year, as it is going on. The command center is almost ready. The checking the equipment will be done in the springtime, and what we are expecting that everything is confirmed in March and April for the registration, and we will wait. The only problem, I guess, for a lot of teams that we were not able to fly a lot or almost no flight last year in 2020, and this year we may fly one or twice, but I don't know exactly. But I don't think it's the big issue. The biggest issue for the team would be one day we'll be sure that it will go, let's say in April or May, but who knows what can happen in July. So I hope for the organizers and for the FAI that we'll go for that.
Yeah, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. So apart from the Gordon Bennett gas balloon race, there's another big famous gas balloon race, the America's Challenge. And I believe since, well, I last saw you in France, you went direct to America for the America's Challenge.
Yes, I have heard about this race since a long time. Mark Sullivan talked about it, and Sherry White, and then Benoit Pollard went there 3 times to participate, and they said it's fantastic because it's traveling across the US. You see many landscapes. There is a much easier ATC traffic there, and you can even try to get the longest flight like the Swiss team did 3 years ago, and many other teams over 2,000 kilometers. You may expect also almost a record in time. So that was interesting. And I was dreaming about that. And on a professional point of view, I got the opportunity to get the time to do it in 2019. And we went there with Benoit Pollard, so 2 French teams. It was the first time. And it was a good friendship adventure. And on top of that, we prepared that as well as the Gordon Bennett with the command center and all the equipment. And we were very happy to finish second and third with my co-pilot Vincent Les and the 2 Benoits on France 3 who were on the podium as well. So that was a very nice friend adventure and fantastic adventure. And it's like many pilots in the world, a lot of pilots are dreaming to go to Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta for hot air balloons, and some of them also for gas balloons. But it takes a lot of time, a lot of preparation, and a lot of money. It's very costly.
I can imagine. Because you have to ship, obviously, you have to get all your equipment there.
Yeah, and the difficulty between Montbéliard and Albuquerque was that there was only, if I remember, 2 or 3 weeks. So you need to get the equipment packed and then ship it, and then getting different planes and transport. And our balloons just arrived 2 days before the race, even if we ship them 10 days before. So you never know with the international transport.
What an adventure. How did you get involved in Gordon Bennett, in gas ballooning, Eric? How did it start for you?
I'm doing hot air ballooning since 30 years now. And since the end of the 90s, I was following the Vincent Les French team competing and winning his first Gordon Bennett in 1997. And most of the French people were looking at that. And since the early 2000 years, we could follow it on internet and the point. And then I went to see the takeoff in 2002 in Châtellerault, in 2003 in Arquesnon. And then I was passionate of that. And about 12 years ago, I said, I should try gas ballooning. Then I asked Vincent if he would be my instructor, as well as Benoit Avray or Hervé Moine, the team who already participated. And then we learned how to pilot. And one day Vincent told me, he said, you could do Gordon Bennett one day. I said, oh, no, forget about it. I said, you will do it, but you don't know it yet. And he was right, and my first participation was in 2014, and that was a great pleasure. But still, we are all following. I didn't participate in 2015 and 16, but I was on my computer days and nights like every fan.
It's fascinating, isn't it? It really
yeah, it's fascinating. Whether you are in the balloon or on the ground, it's fascinating.
The chase crew, what an adventure they have. They've got to just go wherever you go. Like you say, they could end up in Greece, they could end up all over Europe, and they've got to be there, pay for the fuel in the car, feed themselves, and follow this trajectory and see where you're going to be. Amazing.
For the crew, it's really be part of the team and to follow the team. But you have the chance to cross 5, 6, 7, or 8 countries, going 2,000 kilometers driving. Like 2 years ago, they were all almost to the Black Sea. That's a fantastic trip. And it's also, on the human point of view, you meet different people, you look at different things. I know all the people in their chasing crew, they are passionate.
For me, as a commentator, the takeoff, the event itself, the launch, is really, really emotional. It's hard to really keep your emotions in check with the national anthem and tens of thousands of people cheering and clapping. What is it like? What's the launch like for yourselves in the basket? Are you too focused to?
No. What is interesting is that for many years, I looked at it from the ground. And every time it's a huge impact on your heart. You're almost crying because you're proud of your friends, you're proud of your nation. And I guess it's the same, whether you are Spanish, American, German, British, you're so proud of your pilots having your flag of your country. And when you are on board, it's impossible to describe. You're so happy to take off. It seems that there are 10, 20 or 30 seconds where you forget everything and you go in the dark and you are proud of your country, proud of your national anthem. And it's so intense emotion. You don't cry, but you live it internally. And that's, I understand what competitors told me many years before I participated. And that's absolutely unique each time. And that's great.
Yes. And you're there with the whole atmosphere and the lights and the people, but then you just leave it all behind and then it's just you two.
But what is interesting is that you are so much prepared since many months, many weeks, and the last days, that the most important is the last day. The last day is going very quick. You have to prepare your balloon, you check your strategy, check your equipment, everything. You're very busy. And at the moment you take off, you're liberated. And that's like a Zen attitude.
Right.
You enjoy this moment because you say, that's done, we are off. And then you are with your friend on the balloon for 1, 2, or 3 days. And during these 3 days, you can focus on the strategy, but it's very calm, it's very quiet, and your brain is doing everything. And that's the big difference. The moment of taking off is, I guess, like the Vendée Globe Challenge. The guys, there are a lot of people, and they go around on the sea, and they are alone, very quiet. And when they come back, it's the crazy time again. So I have the same feeling. The last day of just the day before the takeoff, the Golden Minute is very busy for the brain, the body, and so on. And after takeoff, it's the quiet time. I appreciate very much that quiet time.
I'm interested as well is the moment before takeoff, the procession, getting the basket and the balloon onto the launch platform. People who don't know it, every 2 minutes, I think 2 minutes 70 seconds it was in between launches, and we have a team, your team, which because your ballast is you're already neutral buoyancy, and you're just carried along one after another and then lifted onto the platform, and then all the final checks are done and the national anthem is done. What's that like, the procession coming up to the launch platform? That must be tense. That must be a tension.
Only 3 times I participated, I tried to enjoy that moment because it's really part of the show. And if you're very ready before the takeoff, the 5 or 10 minutes your team is walking you, go to the podium, it's like you're just half a meter above the ground, you're floating in the air, all your friends around, and it's very important to take into account that moment, to enjoy that moment, because it goes so quickly.
Yes.
You say, oh, there are 5 balloons ahead of me, or 8 balloons, and 10 minutes later you say, oh, there are only 3 balloons, and then you're off. So if you really want to enjoy the full race, that's the part of the pleasure, to enjoy that moment, looking at your friend, hoping for this moment. So.
And then into the night, you go over Europe with the sights, the cities that you pass and the airports that you pass, and the sunrises must be incredible.
Yes, because you have the feeling to be the happiest man in the world, because it's quiet, to be 3, 4, 5, 10,000 feet, and you see the sun rising before all the others. It's in one place at one moment that will never happen again, and that's great. And I remember very well the America's Challenge 2 years ago with Vincent. We have been dreaming of that since many, many years. And when the first sunrise occurred above Texas, we were saying, we are flying above Texas. Yeah. What a dream! And then that was fantastic, fantastic. Even when you try to imagine that many years ago, you can't. and that was fantastic. And same for the Golden Bennett. I remember my first participation in 2014. The second day, the sunrise was over the Mediterranean Sea. We flew 30 hours over the sea. And on the second day, when it rose up, there was sea everywhere for 2 days.
Wow.
Unbelievable feeling.
Oh, that is incredible, isn't it?
Yes, it's incredible. And afterwards, you say, I was crazy to do that. You are prepared to do it. And when you land, say, wow, what we've done, I'm not sure I want to do it again. So that's a strange feeling.
And over in America at the America's Challenge, there's a lot of people there, even more than at a Gordon Bennett launch, right?
That's absolutely amazing. All the people are around the balloon and walking with the balloon, like you see with the hot air balloon fiesta. I think they have something like 100,000 people every morning at the takeoff. And you've got all the baskets with hundreds of people around the basket touching it. You need to be very careful for the takeoff, but they don't have any problem in area. So for the Golden Bennett, for the America's Challenge, it was the same. So it's a bit surprising because in Europe we don't have that. You have only your team member, but you don't have thousands of people. So that's very impressive, like in a hot air balloon.
Wow. And just tell me a little bit about the last Gordon Bennett race. It was really unfortunate for you guys that you got stopped by air traffic control. That must have been...
We anticipated that in the morning with our ATC guy in the command center. We were expecting the trajectory going over Munich, very high altitude. They pre-contacted it. We said, no problem. We know that there are many balloons coming. The Polish guy did the same. So we did not change the trajectory, say it should be okay. And then we contacted, when we were over Stuttgart said we contacted Munich, should be okay. And just something like 1 hour before, they say, oh, we got problem with Munich. We can't help you, Stuttgart told us. So Munich said, no, it's 40 flights an hour, it's very busy, you can't. But we were very high altitude and we did not understand. So we tried to change, but it was too late. And they said, you have to land. And the same for the Polish guy. So when the Polish guy, Matthias Rekas, landed, he called me and said, you landed? I said, yes, they were forced. We were forced. So that's unfortunate. So fortunately, all the balloons we had behind, they just modified a bit their speed or their trajectory to go north or south of Munich. And some of them went through at midnight, so there was no problem with traffic. So we were a bit disappointed, say, we should have anticipated again. But in the morning, it was not a problem because they were expecting us to come. So, from one ATC to another, from the morning to the other shift in the evening, you may have one more strict or more stressed, I don't know. So we are a bit disappointed, but that's a good lesson. For the future, even if we have the agreement a few hours in advance, we will avoid. Because you never know at the last minute, they can say no, and you are a bit stuck. So that's a race fact. That's it.
In the last few years, we've got more and more amazing footage with GoPros, and even I think one of the teams was even live streaming their landing. Was it you?
Yeah, yes, the Swiss team, the winning team, they live streaming the landing. That was fantastic.
Yes, it's incredible, and the change of weight with the sand. Before you get involved and before you know anything about it, you would think it would be big buckets to make a difference. It's little spoonfuls. Just
a little spoon, yeah. You made very, very precise. And during all the competition, all the teams are piloting very precisely, because sometimes you may change only 20 meters, 30 meters to get 1-2 degrees. But because 1 or 2 degrees, when you fly hot air, you don't care. 1 or 2 degrees, if you fly 1,000 kilometers, it's a lot difference idea. So that must be very precise.
What's happening for you, Eric, now with the lockdown and the situation in France? What is your job? What do you do for a living?
So since 10 years, I was a company owner. I had a chemical company with a plant and some employees. And I had a second company. And fortunately, in 2018, I sold the 2 companies because a national group wanted to hire me. I had a company that was working very well. And that's why in 2019, I had the time to do the Golden Minute, the America's Challenge, and so on. So I recreated a new company now in the tourist area. And after 1 year stopping, and for the next 13 years, I will still have my company more in the, I would say, tourism activity. With people going like Airbnb and so on. That's my new job.
So
I guess it's less risky to invest in tourism than in normal industry, like I was before. Yes. Because now 2021 and 2022 would be probably very difficult to manage a company. Yeah. So,
where are you in France, Eric?
I am in Franche-Comté. It's very close to Switzerland. I am in the Jura area. Right. So it's just over the opposite side of Geneva. So very east part of France.
And your plans then for the next few months? Anything that you can do, or have you just got to wait till home?
I'm going to wait that it's been quiet and then we are able to travel again. But like you, I miss traveling. I was used to travel quite a lot before, and we need to move. We need to move to visit countries and to enjoy vacations. But for the moment, it's better to stay at home, be safe. Last year, I didn't move at all. And we said to the children that we can wait 6 more months or 9 more months. Who cares? We need to take care of ourselves and our families and grandparents and everyone. Like you in Canada, you are quiet and yes. You are just waiting.
Yeah. We're all waiting
for you.
Well, Eric, I hope to see you in August down in Wrocław.
Yes, I hope.
But, thanks very much for joining us. It's been a great chat. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. See you. And thank you for waking up very early in Canada this morning.
Yes. Well, I would normally be out taking a sunrise walk, but it's a bit cold today, so it's good to do this instead.
Okay. Thank you, Regan. Bye-bye.